everyone. How's it going? Matthew Bailey Media here, and welcome to another 2025 TV show review. Now, I think I've already done multiple shows reviews for this year. I did one on Wednesday season 2, I did one on Daredevil Born Again season 1, just to name a few. But with this review that I am about to do, you may find this shocking, especially because I never saw the film versions of this IP when they came out in theaters over 8 years ago at this point, 6 to 8 years ago. But this is, of course, my review on season 1 of 3 planned seasons, as far as I'm aware. But this is my review of season 1 to It, Welcome to Derry. That's right, this is a sort of prequel show to the 2 films that are simply known as It Chapter 1 and It Chapter 2, featuring Bill Skarsgård as the iconic Pennywise the Dancing Clown, or as most people would refer to it as It. Now, before I give you my thoughts on the season 1, let me give you my quick thoughts on the 2 movies, because I have seen them in order to get prepared for this show. So with It Chapter 1, I will say I really thought that It Chapter 1 was probably my favorite one of the 2 films, especially because of the way it was played out with these 7 kids who don't really know each other. They slowly form a bond, and by the time and to be fair, for It Chapter 1 took place in the year, technically it takes place in the year 1989. So funny how it took place just at the end of the 80s, and we had the kids who are known simply as Bill, Richie, Eddie, Stan, Mike, Beverly. I'm not sure if I forgot one. Hold on. Let's see. Bill, Eddie, Stan, Richie, Mike, Beverly, and Ben, I think, was the other one. So those are the 7 losers from the films. And we get them all back in It Chapter 2. Now, It Chapter 2, I will say, was not as good as the first movie, but the way they ended the film, it makes me wonder, I know this is all 3 of these seasons of this show are going to be considered a prequel series. And now let's get into this show, because this first season takes place 27 years before the first film, which if that movie took place in 1989, then this season takes place in 1962. And from what I learned in my research with the whole concept and storyline and timeline of the films, the 1962 cycle specifically revolves around what's known as the Black Spot nightclub fire. That's the big event that supposedly took place in this season, and we do get that. I'm not going to describe how it went, but the fact that they do sort of focus on that event in this season, because it takes place 27 years before the losers officially fight Pennywise for the first time. And the way that they handled it was, we sort of got another version of the Losers Club in a way with some of the kids that we got featured in this show. We had Mike's Hanlon's father, Will Hanlon, as one of the kids in this show. Now we know I will say this isn't really a spoiler per se, because if y'all have seen the first film and as well as the second movie, we know that the character of Mike Hanlon from the films is actually the son of the character Will Hanlon. So we know he survives, so that's not really a spoiler per se with this review. Now, he's one of the kids. Now, to be fair, we actually do get 2 characters that one actually has the last name of Uris, who we know as Stanley Uris, who one of the 7 members from the first film. He has a relative in this show, and that is one of the characters. Is not his actual father, but we get a character known as Theodore Uris in this show, and he's related to one of the characters. Then we get characters Ronnie Grogan, Rich Santos, I believe was his name. Who else? Marge, I think was the name of another girl. Lily Dandridge, I think was another character. If I'm saying that correctly. But basically, they're all sort of like characters that fit to the original story. Now, I will say, one of the there's one, aside from Mike, there is one character besides Mike, or not Mike, Will, sorry. There's one character out of the kids besides Will who was confirmed to be an actual parent to one of the 7 losers from the films. I'm not going to say which character it was. You're going to have to watch the show for yourselves. But when it comes to my thoughts on the show, the way they sort of told the story, it's just like with the first film, we and even the second film, we get sort of a character's death at the start of the show before the main credits roll, and then we get, or the main intro itself rolls around, and then we get the whole series. Now, because this is based around the Black Spot nightclub fire, that obviously doesn't happen until the end of the season, so slight spoiler there, but the way they told this story, I mean, there was even some cameos in the last episode, which I just watched right before I started recording this, and I gotta say, they are really trying to tie it into the films. That's all I'm really gonna say without spoiling it, but when it comes to this show, this, I gotta say, was definitely better than It Chapter 2 in my mind, and I think my cousin might agree with me. If y'all don't know, my cousin is, of course, Tyler Bailey, who has shown up on some of my videos in the past. I just found out from him after watching the show that he didn't like it as much as the first movie, but he still thought it was really good. I tend to agree with him. I don't know if he still likes it more than It Chapter 2, but in my opinion, I definitely think it's better than It Chapter 2, at least this first season. Now, to be fair, we do sort of get flashbacks to the other 2 cycles that this whole show is supposed to cover. So, if we get Season 2, it's going to cover 1935, the 1935 cycle, which supposedly in the It universe is known as the Bradley Gang Massacre, which we kind of got a glimpse at in the films. Then the third season is supposedly going to take place in the year 1908. And now we don't know if they're going to continue after that, after season 3, but that's what they're planning to do, is those 3 seasons specifically. And I gotta say, with season 1, they really did do a good job. I didn't think they were going to be able to get Bill Skarsgård back as Pennywise, especially if this is supposed to tie into the movies, but not only did they bring him back as the character, but he is credited as an executive producer on this show, which makes sense, because he's trying to, along with the Muschiettis, who were the sibling directors in a way, to the first 2 films, it would make sense why they're sort of the showrunners to this one, and they brought back Bill Skarsgård not just as Pennywise, but as an executive producer. Really good strategy on their part. I gotta say, definitely not it's definitely a good show, not as good as the first film, but I still think it was relatively good. Now, let me give you my rating of the show. So, for my rating of Welcome to Derry Season 1, which is the 1962 cycle of the Black Spot nightclub fire, I will say, like I said, with the first movie, I would probably give it a 4.5 out of 5. At least that's what I think I gave the first show. Or the first movie. The second movie, I'd probably only give that like a 3.5 out of 5. But with this show, I will definitely give it a 4 out of 5. Yep, 4 out of 5. I definitely think it's better than the second movie. Not as good as the first film, but I still think it was really good. So, anyways, that's all for now in this review, and as always, I will see all of you guys in the next video.